So I figure I might as well start off this by explaining why the zone map is unintuitive. Like, the problem I have with the world map, the area map and the zone map, is that it's slow to navigate, because Sonic is, like, he's walking towards the floor tiles. Like, it's just like in Sonic Rush. And like in Sonic Rush, you can just keep on holding the direction, and he'll just keep on going, which is convenient, but like, I don't know, I just prefer an actual stage select. Like, an actual stage select would be a lot faster. It's also pretty unintuitive when you first start out, because at first I didn't even realize that the blue Sonic head was actually a Gameland entrance. Like, at first I thought it was the entrance to a level. And it wasn't until I clicked on it that I realized that it was Gameland instead. I think I'll show that off in an extra video. But yeah, like, there's also, like, obviously I mentioned before that you can't see the names of the zones when you just look at them on the zone map. You gotta memorize every single zone. When there's a chain leading up to a zone, that means that there's a generator that you need to destroy because you haven't beaten the zone yet. And there's also levels that have padlocks over them because you haven't unlocked them yet, which is intuitive. What's not intuitive is that there's actually an option satellite. Like, you have to slowly move around the cursor on the zone map, and that's how you get over to the zones. Like I would have preferred it would have been a lot quicker if you could just go select the different zones a lot faster. Like, the cursor was restricted to hovering over those zones. With the zone map, you've got an option satellite, and it's not very intuitive that you have to press A over it, and that takes you to the options menu. Like, I would have preferred it if the options menu was on the title screen, like in a normal game. This was an alright level. There's really not much to say about it. I like how in a certain part of this level, you're forced to fight a bunch of enemies to make a hanger come down. Like, it's not really something Sonic-like. And Act 3 is also pretty entertaining. I like how the rockets are restricted to falling from above, rather than being horizontal. And like, look at this. You're just moving forwards. Like, there's no drifting at all. Like, there was drifting earlier, but for the most part, the 3D sections are literally just Sonic going straight ahead. And people say that Unleashed was just a straight line game. With the 3D sections of this, you basically got barely any drifting at all. You barely got any turning at all. Yeah, see? See how easier these things are to dodge? But anyways, basically what the options menu does is that it allows you to turn off the navigator, which means that the hint orbs disappear, but honestly the hint orbs, they're easy to avoid, and they're not really that useful anyways. They mostly just state the obvious, and they never really tell you what you need to know. Like, they don't tell you, like, they often say the jump button and not the, like stuff like that. Like, Tails has never been a good tutorial guy ever since Sonic Rush Adventure. But yeah, you can turn off the navigator if you really want to make sure that the hint orbs don't stop you. And you can also change the language of the game from English to Japanese and literally nothing else. In other games, like the Sonic Advance games, you can change to all sorts of different languages. So it's weird that they have this arbitrary restriction. Meanwhile, you can change the language of the text from English to Dutch to French to Spanish to Italian to Japanese. Why are there all these options for the subtitles but not for the voice acting? And you can also change to not being controlled with Nintendo GameCube controller anymore, which is stupid and you should never do it. And you can have a controller rumble feature disabled, which is good if you have a wireless controller. There's also something in the options menu that's padlocked out for some stupid reason. And you have to press B after going into the options menu for the first time, and only then can you select the other options, which is weird. Like, you can rewatch the cutscenes the instant you see them, you can change your Mii icon and name, which is pointless. And you can see your score for all of the levels, which is good. If a customer pre-ordered this game at GameStop, they actually end up getting a free hat with the look of Sonic's blue quills. The plot of this game is kind of trying to be a parody because it has Eggman make fun of himself a lot and be made fun of a lot. But the thing is, it doesn't really have the guts, the power of a parody. Because Eggman's just doing the same things he's always done. Eggman's plot isn't even that original. It's a compromised combination of his classic plots, kidnapping animals, and his modern plots, harnessing the power of strange beings. And just like the modern game plots, the beings in question betray him, hate him, and join Sonic. I like this gimmick. The problem with this gimmick is that it's a slow waiting game, you're just waiting around. But it's a pretty creative concept. You're just standing on switches, and it causes a slowly rotating orange laser to turn around. It's pretty creative. These gray blocks are the only blocks that you can stomp through. Well, that and the yellow blocks later on. And you can also stand on these switches to make the platforms raise and descend. So that's another unique gimmick. This game is about precise platforming. This game has a lot of focus on the platforming. And something weird that I heard is that apparently some people, they've come to completely associate 2D sections with platforming. So if you say that you don't like 2D sections in the 3D Boost games, people can say that you don't like platforming in Sonic. Because people associate the 2D sections of the Boost games with platforming. It's like they haven't played the adventure games in a while, because the adventure games were fully 3D, and they had a lot of platforming. It's just that the Boost games don't really do it because, well, they don't have the controls for it. You're too slippery, especially in Generations and Unleashed. You just move too far in any one direction. A game does not have to be fully 2D to be heavy on platforming. This is a pretty dragged out section. You have to make sure you stand on the right switch, or you'll be sent to rise up into the damaging lasers. And another thing is that it's kind of a lot of pressure because you accelerate from a standstill pretty slowly. It's ironic, you accelerate too fast when you're going through the precise platforming areas, and so you accelerate it to death. But in a situation like that, you accelerate too slowly, and so you kind of worry that you won't make it in time. I really hate this level. Mainly because of that one gimmick that it loves to force on you. But before that, isn't it fun being forced to fight a whole bunch of enemies just to make a hanger show up? But anyways, of course you haven't unlocked that wisp yet, so you can't use it yet. I guess that's something that adds replayability to the game, is that you're forced to beat zones to unlock wisps that you can use in later levels. You couldn't use the drill wisp the first time that you played Tropical Resort Act 4. So I guess it's, I don't know, I don't really like the idea of not being allowed to use wisps when they're right there. I don't know. I like how every act in this game has its own theme. Its own unique remix. That goes without saying for every game, really. I like how they went through the trouble of that. Although nothing is worth the fact that there's 6 acts. Sonic Colors DS only has 2 acts, which is good for a Sonic game. This game decides to pad itself out with 6 acts. Those swinger things are going to be the bane of your existence at this specific part. Because if I had boosted there, then I would have been sent up here a lot easier. Thankfully I still managed to get up here, but now you have to know to boost into this. And I was able to get up here without boosting as well. So that's good. But I got confused, and so I landed back on the platforms, which follow the instant that you land on them. And so I struggled a lot here because I ended up getting sent into the spike pits over and over again because I didn't have any way of knowing that you're supposed to boost into these things to make them launch you really high. And the thing is, there's no white wisp right here. So if you die, then you're not going to have any white wisp to get past this section. And so you're going to have to go all the way back and get more. It's because of this section that I ended up getting a game over for the first time in this game. And I'd looked up how to grind for lives, just so that I could beat this game easily. It's because of this that I was able to discover that you can use the drill wisp here to beat this level a lot faster. Like in 20 seconds. Don't go too low though, because there's an awkward lower route full of vertical platforming and falling spike balls. And again, I swear you can clip through that grind rail. Like, you can actually boost while you're going up to the extra life and jump off, and you'll be able to get to the goal ring. Like, your momentum will carry you to it. If you overshoot the goal ring, you'll actually go into a grind rail 3D section that leads you to a second goal ring. That's pretty cool. I didn't even know that until very recently. Because of the way ring physics are, where the rings phase through you when you're flashing with Mercy Invisibility, it's very easy to die at that spike pit because the rings just ignore you. Homie attacking this winger things can be a good substitution for boosting into them. Like, I noticed that helps me out a lot. God, I could have sworn that I boosted into it and it just ignored me. And once those moving platforms are gone, then you have to very carefully jump off and boost into it. Like, I don't know why they decided to put platforms that can fall there. Now you have to slowly do platforming where you slowly wait around. I don't know why this belongs in a Sonic game. And then you have to boost into this. If you don't boost, then, well, I still managed to get up there, but I was lucky I did. They don't launch you with much momentum when you don't have boost when you go into them. Thankfully, I didn't manage to die here. My life grinding wasn't gone to waste because I ended up losing a lot of lives past this zone. Like, this game is deceptively hard. It starts out mind-numbingly easy, but it gets pretty frustrating later on. In the E3 demo, when Sonic would activate the drill power, the announcer would say, "Spin!" Also, before using a wisp, the announcer would say, "Color!" But thankfully, in the final game, it doesn't say anything until you use the wisp. And here we get these yellow blocks that can also be broken by stomping through, which is why it's stupid that later on you're expected to use them as platforms, when at this point, you got into the habit of always stomping onto platforms so you won't overshoot them. But you can't stomp onto these things, or they'll break. I like how the camera angle is sort of 3D when you're running towards those slide areas, because it guarantees that you'll have enough reaction time to slide in time. That, and there's this huge X that shows up. So I don't feel like it's cheap that you're expected to slide really quickly. Like, I usually don't get stopped by those things anymore. And see what I mean? It's really awkward that these things are being expected, that these things are used in this particular way. What? Yeah, I ran out of boost just as I was about to boost through that guy. You see what I mean about not being given enough boost? A lot of speedrunners hate this level because you can't really beat it quickly. Look at how blocky the level design is. Like, there's so many blocks. This really isn't properly designed for a Sonic game. Like, there's loops in a pathetic, vain attempt to try to pretend that it's a Sonic game. But, so no, you know, Sonic 3D Blast had loop-de-loops too. I don't know.